What is up? What is going on, everybody? Let me see if this is working. It's me. I'm back, Robo, the freaking Rican. It is Monday, and the 27th, and I hope everybody had a good time. I imagine that if I ever got into this professionally, maybe worked for some sort of what would be dope? What if I got on Democracy Now? Maybe I need to go get my journalism degree or something. That would be pretty dope. But I think what would have to happen is I would have to stop drinking carbonated shit, Beta! What's up, Rough Rider? CE Rouse, Mojo Quid, the beautiful man eater, Aramis 2099. I have been awakened. Majin Blue Dream first in the chat with the dancing dinosaur. And while we were in the countdown to the startup, we definitely were doing some CG BRDF. What's going on? Coming, let's see. This is probably going to be good news. This is probably going to be some good news here. What's this? What is this? Oh yeah. The full statement. Matter of fact, we'll put that one on the docket. We will definitely look into that. I was tripping. I don't know why I was on YouTube. Here I go on Twitch. Easy is supposed to be. Either way, Smoke One Kenobi, yo. Either way, wherever you want to be, you know what? If you're on your computer, if you're on your desktop, and you want to open up a second tab and have that YouTube open, and then mute the tab, not the actual YouTube, right? But the tab, mute the tab, and then maybe I get some watch time on both, whatever. It's free. I would, but I'm gaming. That's fair. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. And it is a good day. I thought I was gonna get some good old leftist action today, but it turned out to be nothing. Went out and got a call to check to see if the old ICE. It motivated me to wear my Abolish ICE shirt today, but alas, no one was there. So I told Maneater, I said, "Hey, get ready for a phone call because if you got to bail me out, I'm too pretty to be in jail." Real talk, actually, you know what? I'm too big to be in jail. That's what I am. Because I don't know why, I decided to, lift weights when I was younger and get tattoos and shit. Because, you know what's interesting? The way that, me liking tattoos and me used to like being in the gym and all that, it doesn't really match with the, stereotypical, right? So if I go to jail, people can be like, oh, look at this motherfucker. Like, when somebody else comes in, they're going to be like, I'm gonna beat that motherfucker's ass that people know, so they know I'm not playing, right? I'm like, no, I'm not that dude though. You don't have to fight me. I don't really like fighting. I'm gonna pull something, and if I how you jam your finger, playing ball. Has anybody ever? If anybody plays basketball, I know you know what I'm talking about. Jamming your finger when you play basketball. Can you imagine how often that has to happen in a fight? I don't like fighting. Where would one get that shirt? Honestly, I don't know. I'm sure if I... What is it? Let's see. Let's try. Does it have the thing there? I'll post it. Remind me on Discord. There's a DSA shirt. They don't make it anymore. Limited edition. They don't make these anymore. You can't even get these. Get on my level. Because everybody knows to be a real revolutionary, you got to own the gear. You know what I mean? Don't come out here wearing like regular shit, limited edition. They don't make these anymore. It'll probably CGB. Can you? I'm trying to like. Always ruining my shit. No, they don't make them anymore. They're not coming back. This is the only one. Damn it. No, but for real, if you want to support DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, that's where you go. That's where you get some good shit. And it's a good way to give to the cause, right? Democratic Socialists of America is the largest socialist organization in the United States. And contrary to popular belief, has definitely made waves where they can. Obviously, we're not talking about the presidency or Congress, but take a look at where they've won seats in state and city seats in places like New York and Portland and Austin, Seattle. And so if you want to support, go ahead and do that. I had somebody ask me, let's see, did they come in? No, they're not here. Y'all may know Sketchy Got Hands. Over 300 elected seats across the country. So whenever you get in, and I was one of those people, by the way. Even after I was already a lefty, I was stationed in Hawaii. I'm just like, I always heard like DSA, these are just like people who like to have meetings and they don't do anything. And it's like, I was allowing that kind of thing to really, it was just an excuse to not get involved. And then you realize that the only person not getting involved is you, and the only one stopping you from getting involved is you. I was talking to Sketchy Got Hands earlier because they were asking what I suggested, because they want to get back into it, right? It's the same thing I say every single week. I'm gonna sound like a broken record probably over the next forever. But especially these next 4 years, if you are out there, remember what I said about voting, right? People are like, oh, if you didn't vote, I'm going to need you to be quiet. If you didn't vote, I need you to blah, 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 right? Now I wouldn't say this because I think it's kind of rude anyway, because everybody has different availabilities and stuff, but it would actually make more sense to say something along the lines of, if you're not going to do any sort of action at all, well, then you know how that finishes. But like I said, I don't know if I completely agree with that. Everybody has different situations and capabilities and time and everything like that. But if you know, right, because only you know, what kind of time do you have? What kind of, where are your priorities? What are you doing with the time you do have? And do you think that there needs to be a change in your community? We're not going to solve the problems across the country. We're not ending the genocide. We're not freeing Palestine. We're not, but we're not going to just sit here and lay down and take it all either, right? We're going to make a change. Just like every person who has ever come before us will make a change. Has fought to make a change, even if things didn't come perfect. This is when, right? When people start talking about it's useless to do this or it's useless to do that, this is when the phrase, do not let perfection be the enemy of progress, something like that. The enemy of good, right? So, which goes into what we're going to talk about today. Mondays and Fridays, I'm going to, if you've been here before, you already know. Yeah, there you go. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. DSA, only you can prevent fascism. Literally. Because you can bet your ass the state's not going to prevent it. The state doesn't care. None of those people care. As long as they're in power and they have their billions, they don't care. For those who are here for the first time or lurking in the background, I'm Robo. This is Left Face. And I stream 3 times a week. Mondays and Fridays is Left Face. And Thursdays, over on the YouTube channel Blurred Without Fear, I am co-host to a show called Nerds of Culture, where we talk about nerd culture, but from like a lefty perspective. We call it the woke shade room, or the woke breakfast club, or whatever you want to call it. Where it's definitely the show with some culture and a dash of sazon. But on Mondays, while Fridays is going to be a rundown of the headlines and what's happened, big ticket items that's happened throughout the week. Mondays, I kind of want to take an opportunity to. It's going to be more educational, right? We're still going to do brain rot at the end, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to take Mondays as an opportunity to be more educational. I want to reach out and see if I can get somebody on to talk about BDS, for example. What is BDS? What are some common myths of BDS? How do you get involved? What is the difference between BDS and any other sort of random? Let's boycott this company because they're owned by the Zionists or something. What's the difference? So I want to bring somebody on. We'll have a small interview and we'll get some education done. There is somebody locally who works for a nonprofit that I know here, and she works for she helps the Hispanic community, regardless of their status, right? So some of them are American citizens, some of them might not be, and so in her work, I'm gonna have her come on soonish, right? Hopefully within the month, and we'll talk about the current situation and the climate regarding undocumented workers, and unfortunately, like what has been in the news, even just your standard Hispanic individual like myself. Now, I will say that as far as Latinos go, I wouldn't worry too much for me because, look, if you want me on your show, you got to pay me. I do pay you. You get my entire paycheck, which provides you this roof. You put it in on it, but I mean, so do I. You know what I'm saying? You pay me, I pay you. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful that way. And should. That's right. You deserve it. What was I gonna say? I don't worry about me because I don't have an accent. I have it's really the people that you need to worry about, and make sure to keep an eye on to make sure to see if they need help. Shit like that is to make sure you keep an eye out. People who are gonna a standard racist, fascist, newly deputized bounty hunter, real thing by the way, happening in places like Mississippi, is gonna look at them and go, that ain't no American right there. Hey, you come here, boy, come here. See this badge here? This says to the state of Mississippi that I'm a certified bounty hunter, and you need to prove to me right now you American. Now, 9 times out of 10, I imagine that if that person is a citizen, they're going to tell them to fuck off. Now, will that end in harm or worse? Will that end in detention? Who knows? Now, I highly doubt that literally just because of my skin tone, I'm going to get wrapped up in something like that. If it does happen, it'll probably be because I was talking shit. Bro, this is if you're not white, you're not safe kind of situation. Accent or not, they after you. You're right. I just don't want people to. It's kind of like what we were talking about last week when we were talking about like making sure that we're balancing. Actually, I don't know if we were talking about this, but we need to make sure we are balancing, like being security minded, being prepared with fear, right? Like we don't want to get so in the weeds and so ridiculous with paranoia that we become paralyzed with fear, that we start looking for things that are not there, and you miss the things that are happening in front of you, right? I do not think that I am safe just because I don't have an accent. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that people who work in the auto factories, people who work in the fields, people who work in construction sites, these are the areas, the people whose parents don't speak a lick of English, and some racist ass teacher or another parent called ice on them, like, and they're going after their kids, I'm not, and I'm just saying, there's people who are in higher levels of danger than me. They're gonna detain first, ask questions later. Yeah, especially now. Maneater's a different situation, only because she was born outside of the country and she was naturalized. So that's where we gotta be careful. We gotta be careful. What's this link? Spreadsheet, Google Docs. What is this? Okay. Yeah. The seats won in 2021, 2022. We got mayors out there and shit. That's dope. School boards. Yeah. Look, one thing that CG has been. Okay. I see at the bottom the different. Yeah. I feel you. One thing that CG told me one time, and I was definitely like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. If you think that you don't have a chance to make a difference in your community, just take a look. I mean, unless you live in a place like San Diego or a really large metropolis, and even then, get out there and do it anyway, right? But I live in a not so big metropolis, and I look at things like the city council had seats that ran unopposed. You had school board seats ran unopposed. These are positions that if you feel like you can make a difference, can get out there and do. Like, this could be you. How many votes was it there? Oh yeah, we talked about it. What was it? Yeah, that's funny. The individual, it was definitely under 1,000. Yeah, it was like they got like 400 and something votes and won their seat for the city council of the town I'm in. All right, I say Savannah, but obviously my address is not Savannah, and that's doxing enough. Y'all didn't need to know exactly what spot I'm in, but the spot I'm in, we had city council people out there who won with a 400 and something votes. 4 people knocking doors could win that. Like I could be a member of city council right now. If I had gotten off my ass and done something like that. So there's always something out there for people to do. Where I was going earlier with the fact that Mondays is going to be educational is today we're going to talk about some things. We're gonna kick off Black History Month a little early, because really every day should be Black History Month. And we're gonna talk about we're gonna watch a small video on Fred Hampton, and then there'll be another Monday where we talk about Teray Kwame, right? Is that his name? Maneater. Kwame Teray. Sorry, backwards. We did 25,000 doors per candidate in Portland, and that's why you guys have like 3-4 candidates out there. I'm truly interested if Trump is gonna EO Black History Month away. I honestly wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Everyone's expecting, obviously, for Juneteenth to come off the federal holiday calendar. So there's really anything that you could imagine the worst thing. Just imagine that. Well, here's a headline for y'all. Hold on a second. Check this shit out. As an example. Oh shit. Look at this. Okay, so now it's not changing it is changing the volume, but it's not changing the screen. I guess that's a little bit easier. Nope, wrong one. Gosh dang it. Look at this. Look at this headline. birthright citizenship of Native Americans questioned by the Trump administration. Justice Department makes argument defending executive order suspending birthright citizenship. Native Americans. What? They indigenous people who've been here for a fucking million years? Like, are you kidding? Where would they even go? Like, okay, boom, you stripped away their citizenship. Like, where would they even go? Like, Trump and his fucking decrepit crew of morons. Oh my God, they're so stupid. They're so dumb. Yeah, my wife is native. Shit's wild. She doesn't even want to leave the house. Can you imagine, dude? Your whole fucking... Why is the brain rot still on the screen? Y'all failed me. That's y'all's fault. How dare you? Can you fucking imagine that your people are the original human beings of this land, was colonized, subject to genocide, and you just got to make do, right? You just got to make do with life. Just like descendants of these enslaved people, you just got to make do. And then some fucking fascist piece of shit, some fascist neo-Nazi piece of shit, Donald Trump and his crew of white supremacists. You know, what about like Native Americans? Should they get birthright citizenship? What kind of question is that? Shit like that is wild. Repeal President's Day because Lincoln freed the slaves, replaces it with Trump Day. Yeah. You know what's funny? At this point, I would not even be surprised. Deadass. I would not even be surprised. I'd be like, legal argument is the most debate lord brained argument as well. Is it really? Actually. Oh, Lord. Okay, let's see what this is about. Colombia President Petro responds to Trump tariffs. Read his full statement. Let's do it. Yeah, I like that. Why aren't you letting me zoom in, you shithead? Let's see here. You're not letting me. Oh, I know why. Where did I find that? Yeah, Soul Fingers too. You read that right. You sent me that link, didn't you? Yeah, there it is. Okay, there you go. Copy link. Because this browser is not letting me do my thing. Oh, this is a video too. Shit. Let's do that. Jesus. Sorry. Oh, towards the bottom. Okay, yeah, we know all that shit. You know what's fucking sad? I have something. Yeah. Do you know how many people said, like, nah, like, he just talks shit. He just talking shit. So far, two things that I've heard he's just talking shit. He's fucking either doing or he's making statements that he's like, nah, I'm being for real. Nope, not kidding. Largest mass deportation in history, right? That he's trying to make that happen. He's trying to make that a thing. Earlier, oh man, I'm all over the place. Earlier, he said that he was serious about getting Greenland. They're about as smart as a box of hamburgers. You are not lying. President Gustavo Petro's full statement. Trump, I don't really like traveling to the U.S. It's a bit boring, but I confess that there are some commendable things. I like going to the black neighborhoods of Washington where I saw a fight in the U.S. Capitol between blacks and Latinos with barricades, which seemed like nonsense to me because they should join together. Wow, that is definitely a relevant statement given what we're going to talk about today and the thumbnail. I confess that I like Walt Whitman and Paul Simon and Noam Chomsky and Miller. I confess that Sacco and Vanzetti, who have my blood, are memorable in the history of the USA, and I follow them. They were murdered by labor leaders in the electric chair by the fascists who are within the USA as well as within my country. I don't like your oil, Trump. It's going to wipe out the human species because of greed. Maybe one day with a glass of whiskey that I accept, despite my gastritis, we can talk frankly about this, but it's difficult because you consider me part of an inferior race, and I'm not, nor is any Colombian. So if you know someone who is stubborn, that's me, period. You can try to carry out a coup with your economic strength and your arrogance like they did with Allende, but I will die true to my principles. I resisted torture, and I resist you. I don't want slavers next in Colombia. We already had many, and we freed ourselves. What I want next in Colombia are lovers of freedom. If you can't join me, I'll go elsewhere. Colombia is the heart of the world, and you didn't understand that. This is the land of the yellow butterflies, of the beauty of remedios. I don't know what that means. Babe, man-eater, remedios. What is that? Remedies? But also of the colonels like Aureliano Buendia, of which I am one, perhaps the last. You will kill me, but I will survive in my people, which lives before yours in the Americas. We are peoples of the winds, the mountains, the Caribbean Sea, and of freedom. You don't like our freedom, okay. I don't shake hands with white slavers. I shake hands with the white libertarian heirs of Lincoln and the black and white farm boys of the USA, at whose graves I cried and prayed on the battlefield, which I reached after walking the mountains of Italian Tuscany and after being saved from COVID. They are the United States, and before them I kneel, before no one else. Overthrow me, Mr. President, and the Americas and humanity will respond. Colombia now stops looking north. It looks at the world. Our blood comes from the blood of the Caliphate of Cordoba, the civilization of that time of the Roman Latins of the Mediterranean, the civilization of that time who founded the Republic, democracy in Athens. Our blood comes from the black resistance fighters turned into slaves by you. Well, by Colombia's ancestors too, but anyways, Colombia is the first free territory of America before Washington, before all of America, and I take refuge in its African songs. My land is made up of goldsmiths who worked in the time of the Egyptian pharaohs and of the first artists in the world in Chiribiquete. You will never rule us. You are opposed to the warrior who rode our land shouting freedom, whose name is Simón Bolívar. Our people are somewhat fearful, somewhat timid. They are naive and kind, loving, but they will know how to win the Panama Canal, which you took from us with violence. 200 heroes from all of Latin America lie in Bocas del Toro, today's Panama, formerly Colombia, which you murdered. I raise a flag, and as Jorge Eliezer Gaitan said, even if it remains alone, it will continue to be raised with the Latin American dignity that is the dignity of America, which your great-grandfather did not know, and mine did, Mr. President, an immigrant in the USA. Your blockade does not scare me because Colombia, besides being the country of beauty, is the heart of the world. I know that you love beauty as I do. Do not disrespect it, and it will give its sweetness to you. From today on, Colombia is open to the entire world with open arms. We are the builders of freedom, life, and humanity. Damn. I'm informed that you impose a 50% tariff on the fruits of our human labor to enter the United States, and I do the same. Let our people plant corn that was discovered in Colombia and feed the world. Man, that's powerful. That's good shit. Can you imagine having a president like Brazil has, or Colombia, or Mexico, and we have this bag of fucking potatoes? Pretty sure he expected a coup when he wrote this. They have since conceded to Trump. The whole military is U.S. trained. Yeah. What do you mean they've since conceded to Trump? What do you mean by that? As far as doing what he wanted them to do, is accepting immigrants. Yeah, those kind of, I don't even blame them, honestly. Deportations, yeah, I don't blame them. Like it's I still like this, and here's the deal: is I do not envy people in that position at all. Earlier I posted something on Threads saying, "Good. I'm glad lattes are gonna fucking be $20 now." You know what I mean? I mean, clearly they're not. I'm glad groceries are gonna triple in price. If there aren't enough workers to do their thing. But in the back of my mind, even though I do not want to see these people exploited, and I'm glad that they're not going to be exploited, and we talked about this last week a little bit, I also have to think about the second and third order effects of, okay, we do not have an exploited class of people. We have a parasite class of corporate elites that are not going to take a pay cut, so they're just going to raise the price of groceries. And what is that going to do to families that are already poverty stricken, that are already have food insecurity, that already live in food deserts? What is going to happen to those households? And so it becomes like this kind of like rock and a hard place kind of deal where it's like, no, that should be illegal. I don't want them to be able to be paid pennies on the dollars to in accordance with what they're supposed to be getting paid, with what they would be paid if they were U.S. citizens. But then what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, what is the outcome to that? Gotta head to a meeting. Good night, CG. Appreciate the links and the talk as usual. So, but yeah, what does that mean? But I don't. Wait, did they eat? Yes, they ate. Yes. But at the end of the day, I just don't. If I was president, I had to make the choice. It's like, yeah, fuck Trump. Fuck. Fuck you. How about that? And then the truth comes down is they don't have the economic strength to be able to stand against the fuck the hemisphere, fuck the Americas, the world's bully. You know what I mean? And we wonder why we have Chinese bases in Cuba, and we say that like it's a bad thing, like it's something that we don't expect. Like, what? They're just supposed to starve? You're mad that they have allies in China? What? Of course they're going to. If I were in Latin American country, I would make Chinese a secondary language. Like you have in Canada, you have English and French. In my Latin American country, if I were king, it'd be Spanish and Chinese. Que lo que hay, bro? Chilling. How are you, Suck Now? Oh man, man. But the fuck? Why'd you put him in here? Hey, buddy. Hi. I know your mama put you in here for some reason. So let's go back to what we were going to talk about today. Let's go ahead and get them going. Get them going. I read that. Let's get this whole thing going. We're gonna do like we usually do. We're gonna start off with Democracy Now, and then we're gonna get into it's an older video, I'm pretty sure. It's an older video on Fred Hampton by Vox. How old is this? 3 years ago, but it's a good video. And then we're going to watch a video on Latin Lords, which were modeled after the Black Panthers. And then we'll watch JD Vance did a Face the Nation video, and we're gonna go over that. We'll watch that. I haven't watched it in its entirety. Robo, do you think the evil orange in office, the U.S. could with the evil office and the evil orange could get invaded? No. I don't think the U.S. could get invaded regardless of who's in office. Yeah. Hi, buddy. What's up? What's up? What you doing? BRICS is larger than G7 in the population and GDP. Shit's getting spicy. Good. Honestly, good. I mean, there was a time in my life where I was like, man, that sucks. You know, we need to stay. Why? We don't deserve it. I don't care how un-American that makes me sound or whatever. We don't deserve this, because the way that we have wielded this power is disgusting and despicable. This is how you know karma's not real. If anybody out there believes in karma, this shit is like, what? We get to do this for hundreds of years, and maybe one day Rome will fall. And then we go, see, you got what was coming to you. Why? Because every giant nation falls eventually? Is that, you know? It's like, no, we don't deserve this shit at all. And so if we ever decided to, if we ever lost this economic war, this global economic war, and we took, you know, we fell into second place, and the global currency became the yen instead of the U.S. dollar. Okay, I'll probably still be here in the United States, and I'd be like, good. I don't give a fuck. Should I learn Chinese? It's more practical than Japanese. Honestly, this might sound a little silly, but during my time in Xiaohongshu, I was like, I feel like Chinese is pretty intuitive. Not to say that I know any Chinese at all, but when they would describe how, like, why something is, they like, it's like once you get like your vocabulary underneath you, how to put these things together is actually pretty intuitive. They don't have a lot of the stupid English and even Spanish kind of like complexities. They say that Chinese is the hardest language to learn or something, and maybe that's true to like be like grammatically proficient or something, but I feel like Chinese would be fun to learn. Mandarin, I mean, that's the main one, right? That's the main one of the country, and what people speak for business. I'm not a like a big polyglot where I want to learn like 18 languages. So I mean, like English, Spanish, Chinese, I'm set. I could pretty much live anywhere in the world. Throw in French on there, and that's it. The whole globe. What is the language in Kenya? Swahili is the main one. And there's a lot, but I wonder whether, yeah, I mean, English, see, but that's the thing, because of colonization, English is the language that connects all African countries. So, I mean, I feel like I would be set. I don't know if there's any like broad interconnective language of the African continent that ties them all together. I feel like they're, that's been pretty segregated. Swahili is good for Kenya and nowhere else type shit. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into democracy now.
Faced accusations of rape, spousal abuse, excessive drinking. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. President Trump's facing accusations of supporting ethnic cleansing in Gaza after saying he wants to, quote, clean out the whole thing. Trump made the remark while speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One Saturday.
I'd like Egypt to take people, and I'd like Jordan to take people. You're talking about probably 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole thing. It's it's over the centuries that's many conflicts that site, and I don't know. It's something has to happen, but it's literally a demolition site right now. Almost everything's demolished.
Egypt and Jordan have rejected Trump's call. This is Jordan's foreign minister, Ayman Safadi.
Our stance that the two-state solution is the path to achieving peace is firm and unwavering. Our rejection of displacement is also firm and unwavering. This is not only the steadfast and unwavering position of the kingdom, but it is also a necessity for achieving the security, stability, and peace that we all desire.
Hassan Jabarin of the Palestinian human rights group Adala.
They are forever trying to push this right here. By the way, this is very true. That was one of the things that I learned about Pinyin and traditional Chinese characters are literally emojis. Like the words that they are it's based off of it's like picture stuff. Think hieroglyphics, but like that have turned into like characters. It's pretty dope. You know what I fucking makes me lose my mind, especially since it was something I had heard before I really started learning about the issues going on in this region. And it's the whole why won't Jordan take the if they're suffering so much, why won't Jordan do this? Why won't Egypt do this? And did you know that they attacked this and blah 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 blah? Like, no, bitch, they're not taking them in because they know what's gonna happen if they do. As soon as they let those people in, that'll be another set of permanently displaced people. Permanently. The first time during the Nakba, 750 some odd thousand people gone and have not been allowed to be back since. Not them, not their generations after. They're gone permanently. And they're not going to let Israel do that.
Beta!
Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Swims with Whales. That's a dope name. I like that. Do you really? Do you really, though? Swim with whales? Because that sounds terrifying. So Trump wants other nations to absorb the population of another country, knowing they will never be allowed to return. 100%. Jordan is most likely more worried about getting the king killed like last time. I'm sure that has something to do with it, but really the main thing behind not accepting them is allowing Israel to push out another group of a population of Palestinians, and then what'll happen? They move in, establish settlements, push the border back. The entire, for the right wing government, the entire goal of Israel is the establishment of Greater Israel, which is just the biblical borders of the time of Abraham type shit. Not sure what would be worse, swimming with sharks or swimming with whales. Do I see the sharks? That's the thing. Like, do I know the sharks are there, but I just don't see them? Or they know close to me swimming by me? If it's close to me and I see their fins, or like I look under the water and I see their giant fucking face and the teeth sticking out, sharks, hands down. Even if they don't attack me, I'm probably dead anyway because I've had a heart attack or you know, I don't know. I've definitely shit myself a couple times. Swimming with whales, their sheer size, being in the water with them, I might also have a heart attack, but it would definitely be worse with sharks. 3,500 people died on the Palestinian side, 500 on the Jordanian. Oh, when they yeah. I know what you're talking about. See, but there's nuance to that shit too. They did the same thing in Egypt, and it was like, look how great they are. Da, 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 da. Yeah, because Egypt was saying like, no, don't attack Israel. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to fight for your lands. And then the Palestinians were like, fuck you, and they attacked Egypt. So what you can do? You know what I mean? I'm so delulu. I really think I could befriend the whales and swim with them. You might not be wrong. I know like dolphins and shit are pretty smart. I saw this one thing where like some beluga whale, a wild beluga whale, went down and grabbed a phone and brought a phone from the bottom of some body of water. I don't know if it was a bay or what, to a girl who had dropped it. Like they're smart. They're smart. I think it's possible.
Like in Trump's proposal to the, quote, ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, unquote. Israel's far-right finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, called Trump's proposal to clear Gaza of Palestinians a great idea. Smotrich has backed building new illegal Israeli settlements in Gaza. We'll have more on this story after headlines. Tens of thousands of displaced Palestinians are returning to North Gaza today, many for the first time in over a year, as the Israel-Hamas ceasefire enters its second week. But most Palestinians will be returning to find their homes reduced to rubble. The UN estimates 92% of homes in Gaza have been destroyed or damaged during Israel's 15-month bombardment. Hala Shala is a 19-year-old Palestinian heading back to Gaza City.
We experienced tremendous hardship from the moment we left Gaza City. We were displaced from Gaza City's Sujaiya neighborhood. After leaving, we spent 2 nights, one night in Al Dian. Then we moved to Khan Yunis and stayed at Al-Aqsa University. We've been displaced multiple times. When we heard the war had stopped and people could return to Gaza City, we desperately wanted to go back to Gaza City because we missed our home and everyone in Gaza City. Our house was destroyed, but we're fine with living among the rubble.
On Saturday, Hamas released 4 female Israeli soldiers who'd been held hostage since October 7th, 2023.
Those aren't hostages. Those are prisoners of war. This is fun. It's, you know what I love about the argument regarding how many people have died in Palestine as far as like Palestinians go, is the way Israel will say, how many of those were fighters though? Like you're trying to make it seem like they're all civilians. Okay. Are we minusing people who are fighting? Bet. Then hundreds, a few hundred Israelis died were murdered on October 7th. A few hundred. Because another few hundred were IDF. These are IDF soldiers. They're POWs. Valid military targets, right? If we're going to call this a war, which it's not. But if we were to call it a war, those are valid military targets. And we're legal prisoners of war. I don't see the problem.
Israel then released...
And notice, by the way, look at their cheeks. Look at their weight. Look at their face. Look at their hair. Right? We know what hair does. They were in there for over a year. We know what hair does in high-stress situations. Their eyes aren't sunken in. They're in good spirits. This doesn't look like, these don't look like hostages that came from barbarous rapists and just these monsters that Israel paints them as. You know, right? The same people who supposedly did serial rapes on October 7th or something. They were prettied up before release. Well, I'm sure they were taking a shower, but you can't pretty up being beaten and starved for over a year, right? Like that's not a thing. I did, you know, and just so you know, there was a video that came out that had them in the backseat talking about how thankful they were that they were protected and that they were protected from incoming bombs and things. Please believe, please believe that I was like, okay, just it might carry a little more weight if they weren't in the car with their captors sitting in the back seat. Okay, so I'm not saying like there's something there to be like you know, Hamas are these like beautiful people. I'm saying, here's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that the way the IDF treats Palestinian hostages, apparently, you know, we'll call them hostages, way fucking worse than what these hostages from October 7th were treated. Regular reports of rape and inhumane torture, and yet every single released individual that has been released from their care none of them have reported brutalization or rape, as far as I'm aware.
200 imprisoned Palestinians, including 70 who are being forced into exile abroad. Hamas has also agreed to release 3 more Israeli hostages by Thursday, including...
They almost killed an Israeli hostage in a bombing, and she called out the IDF for lying that Hamas beat her when IDF bombs were the things that injured her. Yeah, exactly. It's like shit like that. There was something else. Fuck, I was just about to say... Shit. Oh yeah. You remember when then the IDF mowed down those women? Because and you know what their excuse was? They mowed down the hostages, killed them, just fucking mowed them down with their guns. Like they saw them, like not bombs from the air, like on the ground, killed them. You know what their excuse was? They were wearing Palestinian civilian clothing. Think about that statement. Think about that statement for a second.
Including a female civilian named Arbel Yahud. Meanwhile, Israel's being accused of preventing 11 doctors and nurses from the United States from leaving northern Gaza. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli forces shot dead a 2-year-old Palestinian girl named Leila Mohammed Ayman al-Khatib on Saturday. The girl was eating dinner with her family in their living room when Israeli snipers fired 4 shots into their home near Jenin. One of the bullets hit Leila in the back of the head. Israeli forces have killed at least 16 people in or near Jenin over the past week. In Lebanon, Israeli forces...
The only democracy in the Middle East. Just what did they say? The only democracy in the Middle East and the world's most moral army. That's what they call themselves. The world's most moral army. I know as an American, I have no room to talk about moral armies. But I really do believe the IDF takes it to a new level. We have done some serious fucking damage in the world. Please believe. And you will never, ever hear me making excuses or justifying a goddamn thing the U.S. military has done. But in my 23 years, and I've heard some pretty gross shit, by the way, even regarding children. Like I've heard people say, like on convoys, I don't give a fuck. I'll run over a little fucking kid. They're future terrorists. I've heard that, right? So again, not justifying and not saying like. I have never, ever heard an American sharpshooter, sniper, whatever, rifleman brag about shooting children on purpose. Lo Tigre, what's up, El Cifer? What's going on? I've never heard that. I've heard some pretty fucking gross shit. I've never fucking heard of an army sniper being recorded shooting a fucking child in the chest and then laughing about it. And then when said, hey, why did you do that? Say, oh, he had a slingshot. He was going to throw a rock in our direction. So I fucking put a round in his chest. I've never fucking heard that in my life, in my 23 years in the U.S. military. And I'm telling you, the U.S. military, as an entity, is a fucking piece of shit, murderous tool, right? Tool. It could be used for good. They're not. And even with my information and what I feel about the American military industrial complex, the IDF fucking take it to a new level. So Trump is appointing Hollywood czars. Apparently, I bet money that someone is gonna greenlight a film about October 7th that will show the IDF as heroes. I'm pretty sure. Oh, a film. I know they've done a few documentaries on it. There was one documentary that Gal Gadot screened in her home or some shit, or she went to a screening or something. But a fictional movie, yeah, that's gross. I definitely will be a part of the protest for that.
Opened fire on people trying to return to their homes in the south of Lebanon. Israeli forces killed at least 24 people and wounded more than 134 people. Israel had been scheduled to withdraw troops from southern Lebanon.
It's time to move.
Sunday, but the
Go get you a nice-ass house down there.
A deal has been reached to delay the withdrawal until February 18th. In news from Washington, D.C., Secretary of State Marco Rubio has frozen almost all foreign aid coming from the State Department and USAID. But Rubio's memo exempts military funding to two countries, Israel and Egypt.
Oh, weird.
Rubio's memo came as the Trump administration announced the U.S. would resume sending 2,000-pound bombs to Israel, lifting a hold put in place by the Biden administration. The U.S. Senate has confirmed Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary. Vice President J.D. Vance cast a rare tie-breaking vote to confirm.
Infamous cokehead and wife beater, couldn't get past the rank of major in the Army, and did fuck all, and then became a tabloid talking head on the most literal fake news in the United States of America. So literal that in defense of lawsuits, Fox News said that they were entertainment and could not be held to standards as far as, like they're not, they shouldn't, no one should be expecting facts from them. They're entertainment. That's this guy. He's in charge of the Department of Defense now.
Hegseth,
yeah, I don't know, man. I'm with you, and I've said I could fix her to some silly shit. Gal Gadot, I just have way too much fucking hate in my heart for her. I like, she's probably one of the few people that I'm like, I couldn't give a fuck less how gorgeous she is. And I'm not gonna be silly and say she's not gorgeous. She's really fucking gorgeous. But the amount of disdain I have for her, it definitely overshadows any kind of attraction.
Former Fox News host and combat veteran who faced accusations of rape, spousal abuse, excessive drinking on the job, and financial mismanagement. 3 Republican senators joined Democrats in opposing him. Former Senate leader Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins. Ahead of the vote, Democratic Senator Tim Kaine said there were many more qualified people for the post.
There are hundreds of them without the personal baggage of sexual assault claims that have been settled, of allegations of spousal abuse that have been testified to, of allegations of drunkenness on the job and fiscal mismanagement that are the subject of a very extensive report written by non-anonymous co-workers.
We'll look at Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because anything bad said about us is fake, and anything bad said about y'all is real. So
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to head the Department of Homeland Security.
Alva Fluffy Fox, hello, welcome. Good to see you too.
John Fetterman, Maggie Hassan, Tim Kaine Andy Kim, Gary Peters, Jean Shaheen, and Alyssa Slotkin. On Friday night, President Trump fired a dozen independent inspectors general across federal agencies. The move appears to violate a federal law that requires the president to give Congress 30 days' notice before firing an inspector general confirmed by the Senate. A group of House Democrats
See what I'm
sent
saying?
a letter to Trump demanding he reverse the purge, saying it's, quote, antithetical to good government.
Remember what I was saying last week? This is the type of shit that, hey, he can't do that. Oh, don't worry about this because he's not allowed to do that. It's illegal to do this. This motherfucker is a felon. He's literally a felon. It's been a while since I popped in here. I'm pretty sure you probably don't remember me, but I believe when I joined, you were reading a set of Marxist documents. Sound familiar? Kind of. And I am just going to go ahead and be honest with you. You're right. But I always feel bad. I always feel bad. I'm like, fuck. But I got a bad memory. I do this shit in real life, right? And I'm like, fuck. That person knows who. I don't know. And I'm always like, hey, what's up? What's up? And I don't even have to do the you thing because your name is right there. What's up, you? But here I'm like, Alva, what's up, Alva Fluffy Fox? And then maybe like, hey, who's that? I'm not sure. I don't know. But they sound like they've been here before. Oh shit. But I'm gonna remember you now because of this right here. I'm gonna remember you forever now. I changed my name since then. That was why I've rebranded. Oh, what was the old name? Maybe I'll remember. Probably won't, just because I barely remember people I see all the time in real life. So, fuck. What was I saying? Oh yeah, illegal. Fend the monster flu. Yes, Fend Foxtrot. I actually do. Not even lying. I remember you. Welcome back. Damn, that's cool. Yeah, man, I'm proud of myself. There's some mushroom thing I'm taking. What's it called? It's supposed to help with your memory, and I can't remember the name of it. It's some new fucking. It's the new hotness for fighting dementia or some shit. But going back to what I was saying before, Trump sitting here talking about, he's just gonna do whatever the fuck he wants to do, period. And basically everything, lion's mane. There you go. That's what it is. I've been taking lion's mane. I don't know if it's like placebo effect or not, but I do feel like my recall, the amount of I say in a sentence, the times where, how many times have you all heard me say like, oh fuck, what's that word? Oh yeah, cat. You know what I mean? Like something stupid like that. I've done it a couple times, but I feel I haven't done it as much. Anyways, yeah. Trump is gonna do whatever the fuck he wants. And these next 4 years, it's like whether or not this is the end of the American experiment, the experiment of the United States of America. Whether or not this is the end literally depends on the tenacity and endurance of our current legal system. How many times are we willing to sue? How many times are judges willing to rule against him? Right? Like, and then if he can like out endurance them, then we're fucked.
And undermines the proper stewardship of taxpayer dollars, unquote. The White House has announced the government of Colombia has agreed to begin accepting flights of deported immigrants after a dramatic standoff between the two countries. On Sunday,
it was either that or let his people starve. You know what I mean? Like, this is the type of shit that they do. They go, hey, I want you to do something against your principles. And then they go, no, I'm not doing that. And they're like, okay, then I'm gonna fuck your entire country. I'm gonna create an economic situation that will see thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people die, and it'll be because of your decisions. And the entire world will look at you and say, your decisions and your stubbornness is what caused millions of people to die because of you. and then they go, God damn it. Okay, yeah, I mean, fucking bring him over. Like, that's why we don't fucking deserve shit. And I hope fucking China wins. And I can say that because it's legal for now. I hope China wins this fucking economic war. That's what that's what I'll say. I have absolutely zero faith in the current legal system doing anything good. 100%. Everything we've seen thus far says America is cooked. I definitely think we're cooked. The only here. Let me give you all a bit of silver lining, if I may, and not so much silver lining, but just a little like cheese, string cheese, right? Like it's that durable of hope. And you can hold on to it if you want. There are billionaires who are not gonna benefit from Trump because their constituents, right? Their product is more appealing to the progressive, right? They need, not the progressive, but like the liberal. They need America to not be so fascist, or else they're gonna go under. So there's this liberal, right? Like this is the type of people that Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, and Obama, and who's the lady that Harris came walking out with, that Republican that all the Republicans hated, something McCain, no, not McCain, the other one. They need the country to be a different country than Trump, right? So whenever they talk about the swamp, like they're talking about whatever Republicans call the swamp, whatever like MAGA calls a swamp. I've learned, I feel like the swamp to MAGA are the libs to us. They're the same people. They're the people who want to maintain the status quo. They don't want anything changed, right? That's why rarely anything changes significantly under Democrats. It's the only difference between, a leftist and a MAGA nutcase is we want to go in different directions, but we both think that middle part, that lib, is the bad guy, the do nothing, stagnant, stale bad guy. Trump knows how to game the system. The government is reactionary while he's proactive. He does shit, then says, "Come at me." And that's the shit that we were asking Biden to do. Like, man, you just fucking do it. Nope. State after state, fucking over reproductive rights, causing people to fucking die, causing children. I know personally a fucking child who had to run to North Carolina to get an abortion. I almost said no personally. I've heard of them. I'm 2 degrees away from such a child. And this happened under Biden. I'm not saying it's his fault that Roe v. Wade is gone, right? I mean, I understand what Trump did with the judges and all, but where were his executive orders? Where were his? What were his to be face challenges, right?
Colombian President Gustavo Petro turned back 2 U.S. military planes carrying deported people, saying immigrants should be treated with dignity. President Trump then imposed new tariffs and sanctions on Colombia. Petro responded with retaliatory tariffs on U.S. imports, but within hours, the White House announced a deal had been reached. The standoff with Colombia comes as the Trump administration announced nearly 1,000 people were arrested Sunday as federal agencies carried out immigration raids in Chicago and other cities. In Chicago, agents with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, were assisted by the
Obama is literally quoted, y'all can fact check me if you want, literally quoted as saying that abortion rights are not his priority right now. Obama had a supermajority at one point in his presidency, and was like, "Nah, we'll deal with that later." This is what happens. That EO executive order that had been around for 50 fucking years, and Trump just canceled it. Can you imagine the amount of damage that would do to this country if they hadn't codified most of it anyway. Like he cut up that EO executive order that was written 50 fucking years ago. It was symbolic because most of the shit that EO was that executive order covered was already supported by legislation. If legislation hadn't happened, we would literally be back in Jim Crow times. Not even an exaggeration. If the shit that was talked about on that executive order hadn't turned into codified legislation, we would be back in Jim Crow days right now, where it would be legal to say no blacks allowed in your restaurant window. And the only reason it's not right now is because those laws were codified.
FBI, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the U.S. Marshal Service. The Washington Post reports the Trump administration wants every ICE field office to make at least 75 immigration arrests per day as part of a new quota system. Local communities are pushing back. On Friday, school officials in Chicago refused to allow agents into an elementary school. School officials at first thought the agents were from ICE, but they were actually from the U.S. Secret Service. The Justice Department has announced it'll limit enforcement of a 1994 law known as the FACE Act that protects abortion clinics and people seeking abortion care. The Trump administration says it will only prosecute.
No, this right here. I'm fairly sure. I mean, I'm no lawyer, but I'm fairly sure is inaccurate. Only because, when we look at a lot of some of the other like precedences that have fallen. The things that have saved it is the legislation. Like if legislation had passed both houses of Congress and had been signed by the president, it would not have been because think about it. What you're saying would be right? What you're saying would be right if it was saying that it was unconstitutional, like allowing abortion was unconstitutional. It's not what it said. It said that it needed to go that the ruling, right? They didn't. If there had laws had been applied, that would be something totally different. A Roe allowed the federal government, right? And then it wasn't right. But once it's codified, once the law passes and the president signs, now it would have to take a different ruling. The ruling would have to be that allowing abortion would be unconstitutional. That wasn't the ruling. They just undid the which they can because it's their own ruling, right? Even though it was a different Supreme Court, it's still the Supreme Court's ruling and they could rescind that. But in order to take laws off the book, it would have to be something totally completely different, which is to say that law is unconstitutional. And maybe they would have done that. Who knows? But all I'm saying is it would be a lot harder to do that. Do you hold contempt for those who highlight false prophets who claim to be righteous but are really apostates leading them? Wow. Do I hold contempt? No, I don't. I mean, I think prophets and false prophets alike are all con men anyway. But if the legislation is based on Roe and that falls and the legislation goes, I don't know that that's I don't know. I guess I got homework to do. I'm not sure that that's accurate. The link I sent you is what we're talking about. Oh, okay. Let me see here. Let's finish this. Man, we took an hour on a 13-minute video. Let's see what we got here. Hold on. UN. Oh, here we go. We gotta watch this one. Man, free Congo. God, there's only so much fucking room in your brain for fucking trauma. Damn. My homie Liveface is spitting facts on this vid. Oh, is it a video of mine? Let me see.
The world's richest man, Elon Musk, took a break from advising Donald Trump Saturday to give a surprise virtual address to the far-right AfD party. That's Alternative for Germany. Musk's appearance came just days after he sparked controversy for twice giving a Nazi salute at a Trump inaugural event. Among other things, Musk told attendees it's time to move on from past guilt, an apparent reference to Nazism.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying.
Well, first of all, I wanted to really say that I'm very excited for the AfD. It's good to be proud of German culture, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything.
The U.S. Air Force says it will continue using an education.
I feel what's going on, level head. I feel like we are not making a big enough deal about this. I really don't think we're making a big enough deal about this. Only because he was somebody who was sitting right there helping make policy decisions with Donald Trump, and he's pretty much letting you know, not pretty much, he's letting you know he's a neo-Nazi. Not like a neo-Nazi where and listen, when I say this, hear me out. I think that there are people who are fascists and racist that maybe like neo-Nazi is probably not the most accurate term for them. Like, they don't give a fuck about Germany. They don't give a fuck about, Nazi values, right? Like literally Nazi values. Maybe they're not even anti-Semitic, right? They'll be like, man, as long as you're white, you're good with me. You know what I mean? That's why they're good to love Israel, right? Neo-Nazis don't love Israel, by the way, So maybe neo-Nazi is not the perfect term for Trump, for example. Like, I don't know if I'd call Trump a neo-Nazi. And actually, I say that, and I might have earlier, but it was just like, hyperbole. But like, Trump's probably not a neo-Nazi. Trump is an American fascist, right? Trump doesn't hate like Jews, for example. Elon Musk is an actual no shit neo-Nazi, like a for real neo-Nazi. My heart goes out to you, neo-Nazi. The AfD is a far-right neo-Nazi party that talks about doing away with the Holocaust Museum because that's not what we should be focused on. Where leaders within the AfD have collaborated and did and have done, like rallies and shit with known admitted neo-Nazis. Because of course the AfD is not actually, you know what? Watch this shit. Let me show you a German AfD poster. Check this shit out. This is real, by the way. This is not this is not like a AI or some shit. This is a no shit. These motherfuckers would tell you they're not Nazis. Oh, they're making a roof over their children. Duh. Elon Musk is just setting his heart out. They're talking about putting a roof over their children. That's it. In Germany, right? That's the same party. And this is what Elon Musk is saying. I'm here for you guys. And y'all shouldn't be focused on, you guys should be proud of your heritage. You should be proud of your history. Yeah. I'm hoping that the reports that we got on him being kicked out of the White House are true. I called it on Threads. I said that he, exactly. His Nazi heart goes out to them. The I made a call on Threads where most even if you can disagree with me, but I promise you it's true. Most MAGA don't think they're racist. Like, they believe that they're good people. Maybe it's Christian values, maybe it's conservative values, maybe it's whatever. But they don't think, like, if you ask them in privacy, right? In private, hey, what do you think about the KKK? In their heart of hearts, in all sincerity, they would go, oh my God, yeah, they're horrible. What are you talking about? You know, they would tell you that. So when you have, I'm going to send your heart out and I'm going to go to rallies of a German neo-Nazi party, Trump doesn't give a fuck. Trump's like, cool, join my team. I don't give a fuck, because he has no principles. Trump's principles is wealth. Trump's principles is, how can I become more wealthy, and that's it. He doesn't care. He would sell his own children for wealth. It doesn't matter to him. He doesn't actually have any values. I don't think he's a true believer at all. I think he says, well, this is what I've tapped into. I've tapped into American fascism, and that's how I'm going to win. All right, I'll do it. Right? I called, he's going to cut off Elon Musk because, thank you for the follow, I appreciate that. The Underfold, nice. He's going to become too overt, and Donald Trump knows that he'll lose too many followers. I used to be MAGA, so I've insider. I was conservative before Trump, so I never was MAGA. It was actually when Trump started getting on the scene that really just kind of lit a fire under me moving left. So I definitely was never MAGA, but I definitely was conservative. I used to hate Obama for all the wrong reasons. He's a Manchurian candidate. He's going to ruin our country. I was God, I'm stupid. If I can go back in time, people always go, hey, if you can go back in time, what would you tell your old self? I would probably just fucking fight him. I probably would just fucking beat his ass. I think about the person I used to be, and I that person is somebody I fucking can't stand. I follow you on Threads, Puppet. Hey, appreciate that. Look at that. We got some cross pollination there. That's what's up. Well, welcome. I appreciate it. Post 2016, Ben Shapiro was my jumping off point into politics. I am very sorry to hear that, but I am super happy that you're at where you're at. I would say that's a pretty short turnaround. Considering I know that's 9 years, right? 9 years ago, but still that's dope that you're here. Big respect, because I didn't start moving left until shit. And when I say start, I mean start. I was still pretty much conservative in 2016, but I was conservative-ish. I was already hating Donald Trump. I was already like saying woke shit, but I wasn't like fully like super on board with like I still thought like Democrats were far left. You know, I was the guy who made sense, you know? Which was an enlightened centrist. And unfortunately, I went through an enlightened centrist phase for a while there. And then it was a really quick, like it was, and I've only gone more left, and I get more and more left every day. So yeah, I brought you over to the force. Maneater introduced me to the woke life, and then I was gone. And now I'm sitting here telling her, like, how come you're not out here tearing it down with me, destroying entire cities? Like, I asked her to come with me because apparently they're rebuilding Portland, and I'm like, no, we got to burn it back down. And she's like, no, I don't want to. 90 Day Fiancé's on. Far left Democrats. I'm telling you, that was me. That was the kind of centrist I was. Like, fucking, crazy people on both sides. That was me. But anyways, Okay, we spent way too much time on this shit.
Video about the Tuskegee Airmen.
By the way, I have on good authority that oh, actually, you know what? I can just pull it up right here. I can pull it up right fucking here. You guys are not going to believe this shit. You will. You will believe it. Check this out, Cypher. Check this out. Oh, wow. That's a headline. OnlyFans star sick to her stomach after finding out close family member paid for her X-rated content. Can you imagine? That would be it. That would ruin your relationship forever. Wow. Like, what if it was like a chat history missing? Oh, this is the wrong one. That's why. This one. Here we go. Hey, I got it right the first time. I'm gonna, it's in my messages real quick. Oh, you bitch ass. Use a one-time code instead. Hold on. Oh, wow, I don't have my phone in here. Oh, yes, I do. Here's your one-time code. This will be worth it, especially if there's any vets in here. If there's any vets in here, trust me, you will. There you go. All right. Okay, let's go. Let's get it in. Is it just Stefano? Is it him? Oh yeah, here we go. I'm sent out. Boom, boom. Got it. Open a new tab. Check this out. Check this out. Oh, I just noticed that. Hey, we're left face gang now. You know what? You know what? I need y'all to come up with a name for yourselves. Like when it was Beta Boy, it was like, yeah, we're betas. What's up, betas? You know, but it's like lefties, left. I don't know. I think y'all need to think of a cool name. Like what is the crew? Like Ernie has Earth's mightiest subscribers. That's pretty dope. I like that. But that's his. Check this shit out. This is an official Army. This is an official Army email. Immediate action required. Need all to be completed no later than 1200 today. This is I'm sorry. This is to equal opportunity offices. Okay? Equal opportunity offices. Shut down your social media accounts, right? So if you had like an army or brigade equal opportunities thing on Facebook or whatever, shut it down. Make sure do not delete, just deactivate it. Pull down all EO policies on bulletin boards and archive save. Pull down all EO training materials from websites such as policy letters and foundational skills training. All EO training will be on halt until further notice. For those that don't know, EO training is equal opportunities training. Equal opportunities. So that was the office that you went to if you thought there was racial discrimination happening in your unit. If there was sexism in your unit. And the training that you received was like, hey, here's some rules on ways that you're not allowed to communicate in the service. Like, you're not allowed to have racist jokes. You're not allowed to say racist jokes. You're not allowed to have, racist imagery up in your office. Yeah, you have to like make sure that, just because, you can't say, for example, the N-word, even with a soft A, just because, a black friend of yours gave you the pass, because you can't account for everybody else who would be offended hearing that. Who cares if somebody else gave you a pass? Like, these are what's taught in here. But apparently this is DEI, and the Army has been given an order to shut down all EO notifications. Isn't this some shit? Here, there's something else. Army memo and emails being sent out. Let me see here. Let me see what this is. This is an official memo. In accordance with the reference, the reference requires several immediate actions by the Department of the Army. I appreciate the Army, blah, 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 blah. Take down all outward-facing media of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility offices immediately. Withdraw any final or pending documents, directives, orders, materials, or equity plans issued by the Department of Army in response to the now appealed Executive Order 14035, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility in the Federal Workforce. Cancel any DEIA related training immediately. Report compliance with the requirements of paragraph 3 via the Enterprise Task Management Software System. The Air Force also decided that they will no longer teach. That's fucking wild. And you know what? Let's fact check that real time. U.S. Air Force, Tuskegee Airmen. Let's just see what comes up there. Okay. The U.S. Air Force will still teach about black pilots 11 hours ago. This is from BBC. The U.S. Air Force will continue to teach about its first black pilots, known as Tuskegee Airmen, in its basic training, following a review about what to prohibit under Donald Trump's ban. So, I won't say it was fake news. Here's what happened. I can guarantee you this is what happened. We're fucked, man. We are so fucked. Like, I don't want to be a doomer. I always say that. I don't want to be a doomer. I'm a fucking doomer. We're fucked. And because we're fucked, we need to be out there and making sure that please, you need to get out there and join an organization. I don't care if it's the DSA or not, but we need to get out there. Here's what happened. Donald Trump put out an order that anything DI related was to end immediately.
F-35s, fighter jets.
You can't see it. You can't see it. Even if it's right next to it, it can't see it.
Look at that. Cypher World resubbing 28 months total, 27 months in a row. 27 months. That means he subbed 28 months ago, and the very next month didn't resub, right? Probably forgot. And then resubbed again for every month after that. That's the homie. That's a ride or die. That's mi hermano de madre diferente or something like that. Did I get it right? So Trump puts out this order, right? Trump puts out this order, and somebody in the U.S. Air Force said, this is what happened. Fuck, hey, we need to review our materials. Tuskegee Airmen? No? Yeah, probably. Put that all over here. We might have to cut that. Like, we're not talking about fucking man. I'm losing my mind. Somebody literally looked at the Tuskegee Airmen history and said, maybe this is DEI. We might have to cut this out, guys. Get ready to cut this out. And then somebody's like, that's just literally history, bro. That's just literally history. And then, okay, you sure? I'll cut this bitch out right now. I'll delete it. I already got it highlighted. I'll press delete right now. It's gone. You sure? Can you imagine? They rolled back to Don't Ask, Don't Tell and military history from the 1940s. Can you imagine? I'm waiting for segregated military. Exactly. See, the thing they do is they take advantage of those with a lack of community, convincing them that the world is against them and the only way to survive is to pack in as close as you can with the others in the MAGA crowd. They act like you're not allowed to be in other places. Man, I hate this. I really hate to talk about family, but my mother believes that. My mother's like, yeah, it's hard. You know, we're being persecuted. Like, it's hard to be a Christian now. Like everybody hates you now if you're. What? I'm like, mother, like my Christianity is like the fucking is the hegemony for this entire fucking hemisphere. Is the hegemonic power for the entire hemisphere. Who else is we have federal holidays based around Christian holy days. Like, what are you talking about? Oh man, God, dude. But segue. Let me tell you something. I know I was just a doomer. I know we're fucked. I actively oppose evangelicalism. Yeah, 100%. Me too. I try to. I've definitely kind of like toned it down a little bit. Plenty of leftists and radicals in Latin America, especially, were Catholic priests. Plenty of Catholic churches were crucial parts of revolutions that have taken place. So, I hate evangelical Christianity and fundamentalism for sure, and I do think that to let go of magical thinking and is better than not. But I'm not going to waste any energy or give any hate towards people who are otherwise good people and believe in a higher power. Like, I'm just not going to waste any energy on that. If people want to know my opinion about that, sometimes I give it, but I try not to be disrespectful about it. I will be disrespectful to fundamentalists and shit like that for sure, but not at all religion as a whole. I try not to be. But I was also raised in a cult. I've told that story before. I was also raised in a cult. I was in a weirdo Christian church until I was like 13. It was like fringe Christian. Like, we had to keep Jewish holy days, and I wasn't allowed to eat pork or celebrate holidays. We had to like eat kosher. It was weird. And then even after we were like went to like a mainstream Christian church in my like my mid-teens, it was still like one of those like mega churches, and you know, it was marginally better. At least in this church, black people and white people went to the same level of heaven. So if that tells you anything about the first church I was in. Here's a question. Today, we say that it is fucked, that we're fucked. And a lot of people are saying, what the fuck can we even do? Like, you get this like sense of hopelessness, right? Do you think it would be harder to be an activist now or in the or like in the 60s? And what the fuck is this music? You need to... That's not gonna work out. There we go. I guess that'll work. And I want you to think about the people who stood up and they fought the machine and they fought the system during a time where we read about the level of racism and we feel like we know about the level of racism, but I'm sure we all can agree that to experience the level of racism that they experienced in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, like we'll never really know what that is until being there, you know, and some of us might face that today, but in individual cases from individual people, right? Like you're in a wrong part of town and somebody says something to you. We're talking then a system being that racist, entire states, entire metropolises, you know, fuck a small town in backwoods Georgia. We're talking about fucking Pittsburgh and Boston, you know. You think it's harder now than in the 60s because we have the internet and freedoms. It's harder now than the 60s because we have the internet and the freedoms we have now compared to then. Do you think we had more freedoms then than now? I'm not sure I agree with that. But I think you have a point. I think you have a point with regard to, like, it's definitely easier for white supremacists to organize, but I think it kind of goes the other way. I think it's easier for leftists to organize. Like, I was just in some training with the DSA, and I'm on a Zoom call with leftists from socialists all across the country, from different chapters, sharing ideas for what 2025 actions we're gonna do. They didn't have that, you know. I don't think we can organize like our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents faced head on. Man, that's it right there. And that's the challenge that I'm giving to y'all. They have learned since then and now know what needs to be done to disorganize and disenfranchise. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think there was a spirit that continues to live on to this day in countries like France, right? We know that France is like popular for not putting up with shit. Like, they burned down. I thought it was an alarm. Some music. They damn near burned down Paris because they wanted to change the retirement age. You know, there was some shit that happened with farmers, and they were dumping mounds of manure on the highways. You know, and I think we had a little bit of that spirit in the 60s. So that's a good point. That's a good point as far as, like, you know, we have a different spirit in us today. The fact that we got a taste of things and folks are more willing to organize more then than now. Yeah. I found that Christianity makes it easier to accept that us versus them mentality. You know, if I may, and for my Christians in the audience, I say this with all due respect and love. Here's what I find Christianity does. And I say this, you know, this is on a very basic level. I've noticed it with regard to the environment. I've noticed it with regard to how you view things you've done wrong, and how you've wronged other people. Regardless of what the Christian says, there is if you are a true believer, if you're a like devout Christian, there is something that you know is going to happen. And that is the afterlife. So when I think about the parent who has ostracized their daughter for being trans or being whatever, or being a lesbian, right? To someone who's an atheist, pretend I had a problem. Like, why? I don't understand why I would have a problem if I'm not religious, but whatever. Maybe it's just culturally ingrained, right? If I'm an atheist, I'm like, you know what? This is my one life that I have with my daughter. This is like, I get one time to spend time with my daughter and my grandkids. And so I think that would motivate me to get over my bullshit quicker than the parent who says, I'm right, you're wrong, God knows I'm right, and me sitting here doing this means that I'm going to be in good favor with God. And if you get your shit straight, I don't care if you die hating me, because we're going to meet again in heaven and you're going to thank me for being this way. That's literally how they think. That's why I've said so many times before that when we talk about like the statistics of this music, we're not doing music anymore. This is so bad. We'll do this one. I like this one. When you give them statistics, for example, of trans kids, right? And you say, hey, here are the rates of suicide for trans kids, right? And here is more data that shows the number one thing that reduces dramatically, just a steep drop off of gender dysphoria and attempts of suicide is family and communal support and gender affirming care. Falls off. But here's the problem. If you're an evangelical Christian or a fundamentalist, if those are two different things, accepting your child and allowing them that transition is a sin that condemns not only your child to hell, but yourself. So you are then incentivized to not care, right? It's not that you're denying that the numbers are what they are. It's that nothing about these numbers makes you feel any different towards whether or not it's right or wrong, because I'm not going to condemn us both to hell because I don't want you to kill yourself. I don't think, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stand my ground. I'm not going to support this evil, sinful nature. And I'm going to have faith that God is going to save you. I'm going to have faith that God is going to bring you to the light. And watch the mental gymnastics. I've had it with about other topics. Not saying that anybody that's ever had a child that unalived themselves, but I've had topics about trauma and pain when I'm trying to like talk to them about this stuff, and they're like, they'll go through some serious mental gymnastics. Like, for example, you don't know if God saved them at the end. You don't know if God relieved them of their suffering. So now, when their child kills himself, they can hold on to hope that, yep, I did the right thing, and I bet God is merciful, and I'm going to see them again in heaven. And they're fine. They're fucking fine. It's fucking wild. Religion and forgiveness is not an excuse for being a piece of... Yep. I was reading a book with accounts in 1930s in my city, how fascists started fucking stuff up, and how people who literally could have barely afford anything were supporting the Anti-Fascist League. Yeah, that would be... that would be dope. The afterlife, as it is called, is just a place with rules you're going to have to follow and probably fuck up. Yeah. It's the thing, though, is you don't ever have to... In the afterlife, you're perfect, so it doesn't matter. It's just, it's nothing but perfection in the afterlife. Where's the thing at? Oh, there it is. Hey, Bryson. Bryce M or Bryson? Or Bryson M? Welcome and thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. Funny how many Doesn't it just make limbo or purgatory? Yeah. Let me tell you something. The whole idea of hell just doesn't make sense to me. This topic is very personal to me. It makes me angry. Cultural Christian values pervade our even secular society to the extent that trans people, even non-religious households, are deprived of transition. Level head, I'm with you 100%. That was something that I definitely have had to acknowledge too. What I don't ever want to be is counterproductive to the movement. And I will tell you that, did you all see the pastor that prayed to Trump? That prayed talking like shit to Trump in Trump's face in her prayer? She was gay. There are Christian churches who do not support the kind of hate that the LGBTQ and I understand the history of leftist revolution and the Catholic Church. I'm really working on not allowing my own religious trauma, and I can tell that you've gone through religious trauma too, right? Just based off of what you've shared with us, and I appreciate that, by the way. And I need to make sure that I temper my own personal religious trauma and not hurt the movement over it, right? Like, I'm on the steering committee for my local DSA chapter. I'm here in the Savannah, Georgia area. Like, if I was going to be out there super aggro, anti-religion, I probably wouldn't get much work done. You know what I mean? Because the leftists in this area, a lot of them are still Christian. And I'm like, I just gotta have to, I'm not gonna allow my pain and suffering to upend that. You know what I mean? So I just I gotta level it out. See, I'm actually trans, and I don't see the Bible as being against trans people. Yeah, I don't either, by the way. I'm an atheist. I'm a devout atheist. But that is something that I say all the time. I'm like, where does it say that? Like, you can twist some things up to like make it against homosexuality. Okay. But where does it say anything about gender or identifying as a different? Why would that? Why are so many people's? It doesn't say anything about that in there. It's just wild. God is non-binary. Yeah, I mean, shit. God is like, yeah. Well, he's both at the same time. Gender fluid. That's what it is. God's like super gender fluid, right? He's supposed to. All people are made in his image. So if you're cis, trans, non-binary, you're in God's image. So he's all of that. Didn't Jesus literally say, don't be an ass to each other? Literally. Like, the entire book. That's what drives me crazy about evangelicals is the entire New Testament has a Jesus Christ that, even if you don't want to take it literally, right? Even if you weren't a literalist, the Jesus of the Bible specifically is hanging around the lowest of their society, right? Like, when he talks about the tax collectors, you can't put tax collector in the same context of like modern. Like, we're not talking about H&R Block or the IRS or anything like that, right? We're talking about grimy, dirty people who were hated and were commonly corrupt, and they were not good people. And Jesus was like, "Nah, you cool. Come sit over here." The adulteress, the sex worker, and you were just like. Now, the one thing that still I would critique is where Jesus, I think, still is not a good person. In these, because he says stand up and to the sex worker anyway, stand up and sin no more. Well, like, it's just not a sin. What's a sin is disenfranchising her to the point of her having to sell her body in the first place to make money. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you need to stop telling her not to sin and tell the people who created the system to where that's the way for her to survive is like, fuck out of here. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, the overall message is to love everyone. The reason why I asked if I thought it was easier than it now is because there are this month especially, right? And I want you all to hold me to this, right? I want you to hold me accountable. I definitely don't want to only be talking about Black revolutionaries in February. That's bullshit. But since it is February, it's on my it is almost February. It's on my mind, and we're gonna do it early. I want to be doing on Mondays a series of stuff on education of Black revolutionaries, like I said earlier. By the way, if anybody's new here, we're about to get into the next video. But if anybody's new here, if anybody's lurking quietly in the background and this is your first time here, my name's Robo, and you're watching Left Face. I stream 3 times a week on Mondays and Fridays. And Mondays is going to be more of an educational kind of like maybe like a more of a discussion like we're doing now type thing. On Thursdays over on the YouTube channel Blurred Without Fear, I co-host a show with Ernie the Blurred Without Fear called Nerds of Culture, where we talk about nerd culture from a Black and brown perspective. We say it's a show with culture with a dash of sazon. And then on Fridays, right back here on Left Face, we do the Fallout Report, which is a show where we run down the headlines of the week and everything that's going on. So, yeah, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate if you guys would follow and all that stuff. If anybody feels so inclined to donate, obviously I'm not monetized over on the YouTube side, so you won't see anything like for super chats or anything, but you'll see, actually it's coming up right now, this link right here, the Streamlabs side is a way for you to donate, and all of the funds go straight to me. If you do tips and things like that on the Twitch side, always appreciated, but just know that Jeff Bezos takes half of that, and I understand it's easier, and so I'm not giving any shit about it, but if you didn't want to give 50% to Jeff Bezos, use that Streamlabs link, and there you go. So let's get into it. The next video that we're going to have up here, donate so Robo can have his own private jet. Yeah, there's demons on the on public. You expect me to travel around with demons? What's his name? Who's did that? Kenneth Copeland. Yeah. Oh shit, you were just talking about that. You just want those pastors that. Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't paying attention earlier, so now I get it. It all comes around. We're gonna watch a video on the murder of Fred Hampton. Let's do it.
December 4th, 1969. Akua Njeri was 19 years old and sleeping next to her fiancé, the Illinois Black Panther Party chairman, Fred Hampton.
The next thing I remember was someone in our room shaking Chairman Fred. Chairman, wake up, wake up. Plaster was flying off the wall. You could smell the cordite from the gunshot. If you've ever been under gunfire, 5 minutes is 5 hours. To you, it seems like forever. The shooting started back again. Then another voice unfamiliar to me said, "He's good and dead now." I knew they were talking about Chairman Fred.
Fred Hampton was murdered by his government. But before that, he was a leader in a movement practicing a new kind of activism. A movement targeted because of its power to unite people.
Marking 1964 as a historic year in race relations, on July 2nd, President Johnson signed into law the Civil Rights Act. It was the strongest...
In the 1960s, racial progress in the U.S. was at a turning point. Activists won major civil rights victories, and the era of Jim Crow laws came to an end. But at the end of the decade, there were still deep social and economic gaps for Black people across the country. Black Americans continued to face high poverty, poor housing and unemployment, and they still had little to no political representation. These disparities and an increase in brutal police violence led to uprisings across the country. Many young Black activists grew frustrated that the changes they'd hoped for hadn't come.
It's just the opposite of being a white man. That's about the best I can abbreviate that for you.
I highly doubt it,
After
DSB.
the police killing of an unarmed Black teen in San Francisco, two activists in Oakland, California, Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton, founded what was initially called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Newton had studied law and knew it was legal to carry arms in California as long as they were not concealed. The Panthers began to patrol...
Which is weird because it's not like that anymore. Huh. I wonder what had them change that law. It might have been this right here.
their communities. As the movement grew, several highly publicized confrontations with police would bring about mainstream awareness of the Black Panther Party. The allegations in these confrontations were serious, but the public accounts of them were typically one-sided and shaped largely by police. Media coverage depicted party members as a caricature of Black militancy.
The Black Panther Party was portrayed as a marauding gang. They say their goal was to kill all the white people.
In reality, the Panthers did call for radical change.
What they were hoping for was a revolution to overthrow the capitalist enterprise.
But what they called revolution might not actually sound so radical today.
Focused on socialism as a way of solving economic needs. They looked to places like Canada, which always had a democratic political system, but the economic system has always been socialism. So they want a democratic socialist country here in the United States, which they saw as a more equitable, more humane system.
They released a 10-point plan for broad social reform that called for an end to police brutality and for Black employment, housing, education, and freedom from prison.
Canada definitely doesn't have a socialist economic system, but when it comes to like social democracy, that it definitely has way stronger unions, way stronger social safety nets. They are in that direction far and away ahead of the United States for sure.
In jail.
What's so funny about her, what she said about the Black Panthers being, they said that they were this and that, about they wanted to murder all white people. I remember being a kid growing up and being taught exactly that. Like it was like, oh, they were militant. They were like, yeah, they were against slavery. I'm sorry, not slavery. They were against racism, but yeah, I mean, they went too far though, you know, like that's not good, but I understand where they're coming from. That myth is still around to this very day.
Chapters began forming across the country. They started to implement social programs, which they called survival programs.
The Panthers would say, put that theory into practice. If you really want to change minds, if you really want to meet the people where they are, you have to give them the services which they need.
The programs included food and clothing drives, free health clinics, and sickle cell disease testing, and were funded largely by volunteers and donations from businesses. One of their biggest programs was a free breakfast for children initiative.
Here we are living in 1966, 67, is the most wealthy nation in the world. And kids were going to school hungry, especially in African-American communities. So one of the first community service programs were free breakfast for school children.
And all the children had to do was come.
It was during this time that Akua and Jerry, then known as Deborah Johnson, met Fred Hampton.
I was a student at Wright City College, and Chairman Fred had come up to the school to speak. And he said, at the breakfast program, we feeding over 3,000 children a week. We're serious about making power to the people of reality.
By the way, just so y'all understand just how fucking capitalistic this country was, this is the 60s, okay, 1969, and this right here, what a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to Black liberation, the first time a free breakfast program happens in the United States of America. That was a nationally organized breakfast program. The first. Like the fact that we have some places that do free breakfast and some places that don't and stuff like that. Like they started this. The Black Panther Party started. If you see free breakfast program anywhere, regardless of which race is more predominant in that area, started by the Black Panther program.
You're not just sitting up here jaw jabbing and talking shit, we about work. And I say, damn, we serious about this business.
Fred Hampton grew up in Maywood, Illinois, just west of downtown Chicago. He became president of his local NAACP Youth Council in 1967, at 19 years old. Shortly after, he was recruited by a founder of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party.
That you can jail a revolutionary, but you can't jail a revolution.
Because of his charismatic skills, he quickly rise to the top of the crop.
Here he is at age 21, building and leading the Illinois chapter Black Panther Party.
Soon after they met, and Jerry and Hampton became a couple.
Anybody that has met him or heard him speak, they say he wasn't bullshit. He was for real.
You have to understand that people have to pay the price for peace. If you dare to struggle, you dare to win. If you dare not to struggle, then goddamn it, you don't deserve to win.
If you dare to struggle, you dare to win.
If you're willing to fight for it.
Chicago in particular was a place where the party's ideals especially resonated. It was then the second largest American city, and due to decades of discriminatory policies, also one of the most segregated. Chicago's mayor at the time, Richard J. Daley, opposed neighborhood integration. And in the 1950s, the city had begun to redevelop certain neighborhoods, pushing low-income residents out and into densely packed, high-rise public housing in already overcrowded neighborhoods. Black people were pushed primarily to the south and west side of Chicago.
Now remember, like, our parents are alive during right here. This is the type of shit that pisses me off when we talking about like people got to get over it. And it's the olden days and shit like that. People in my own family have said shit like this. This was happening while our parents were alive. And when we look at this and we look at Chicago and we look at where predominantly the Black and Latino populations are, and we say, why are you there? Why would you segregate yourself? You put them there. They're literally placed. They could have redeveloped their own neighborhoods, right? They could have poured money into those neighborhoods to make a better, affordable area, to make the places that they already lived in better. No, they push them out, push them into the projects. That way they can gentrify an area and have white people move in there. My dad was 5 or 6 when Emmett Till was killed. Yeah, Emmett Till, hundreds of years ago. A long time ago. This shit was yesterday in the span of human history. This was a minute ago, a second ago.
Large Puerto Rican population was here in Lincoln Park, and poor white people were concentrated here in Uptown. These groups all faced similar problems.
They all had dilapidated schools. They all had dilapidated homes. They were all being drafted into Vietnam. Very few of those communities had health care.
In 1960,
pay attention right here. If you're listening to this on the background, stop what you're doing for a second, pause your game, and pay attention to what they're going to do with the African-American community, the Puerto Rican community, and the poor white community.
Hampton led the Panthers towards an unexpected alliance, a coalition of activists working across racial lines against a corrupt city government that threatened their communities.
We're going to fight racism, not racism, but we're going to fight solidarity.
What they had in common was their poverty. So
they're going to fight it with solidarity.
On class solidarity that transcends race, that they all had the same hell to pay.
Hampton named the group the Rainbow Coalition. It included the Black Panthers, a Puerto Rican group called the Young Lords,
Young Lords,
and a
yeah.
group called the Young Patriots, made up of largely poor white migrants from Appalachia who had moved to Chicago seeking economic opportunity.
We don't hate the motherfucking white people, we hate the oppressor, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow. So we got to know that.
I don't mean sing Kumbaya and make a quilt. I'm talking about bringing them together on common things they could unite on. Not everything, but who could say that children do not deserve to have a healthy meal?
We work with anybody and form coalition with anybody that has revolution on their mind. We're not a racist organization because we understand that racism is an excuse used for capitalism.
Boom.
Hampton and other Panthers helped the Young Lords and Young Patriots launch their own social programs. They organized protests together. And it was working. Members were traveling across the country to organize Rainbow Coalition chapters.
Particularly where Black Panther chapters were, but also in these rural white communities as well, to bring the revolution to bear. This blows people's minds. These people are not supposed to get along, but here they are operating as brothers of the struggle, as revolutionaries.
That's exactly why I made this emoji too. Like, let me tell you something. When I talk about like this is as a passion of mine, like nobody will ever get me to pull off this. I don't care how ignorant a black person I might come across, how anti-black a Latin person I might come across. I'm always gonna fight for that solidarity. I'm always gonna fight for that. I'm going to fight for solidarity across the board, and because we need to really understand that our oppressors are the same. And doing this bullshit that we do with each other is so wild in the way that we don't see it.
Revolutionaries against the capitalist structure. And that was the threat to the state at the local level, but also at the national level.
In 1968, the FBI had sent around this internal memo. It outlined goals to prevent the coalition of militant black nationalist groups and prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. It wasn't written about Hampton specifically, but by 1969,
Chairman Fred Hampton was the one that fit the bill.
The revolution was in the air, and the ways in which the Panthers was able to transcend those racial lines, especially the charismatic leadership of one like Fred Hampton, they saw him as a greater threat even than Martin Luther King or Malcolm X ever was.
In one FBI memo about the Black Panthers' breakfast program, they claimed their real purpose was to poison minds with anti-white propaganda and indoctrinate youngsters in hate and violence.
The FBI, under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, had deemed the Black Panther Party as the #1 threat to the internal security of this country.
The FBI operated...
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about that. They weren't wrong, technically. They weren't wrong. Because when you're a socialist and you're a revolutionary, you're telling the world this system is broken. This system is not for you. This system is here to leech off you. It's a parasite on your very being. And so when it comes to, whether or not, can a country can a country built that the foundation is the thing that we're saying is evil, can it survive? But the way they say it is, oh, they're dangerous, right? Like the way that we talk about domestic terrorists and white supremacists, they weren't dangerous. They were dangerous to the capitalist system. They were dangerous to the capitalists themselves, right? Not white people, not that's not fair. Plenty of black, Hispanic capitalists out there, Asian capitalists. They were dangerous to the actual capitalists, not the idiot who thinks they're going to become an own capital one day. They didn't want to see their system go away. That's what they wanted.
A counterintelligence
what they were afraid of, rather.
Called COINTELPRO. It was a program that targeted dissident political groups in the U.S. Their methods typically went outside the law.
They were using tactics such as assassination, discrediting false narratives. They were falsely putting people in prison and exile, which were all illegal.
Several Black Panthers were killed or imprisoned, including the party co-founders. In Chicago, the party was also targeted by Mayor Daley and the Chicago police.
Our office was burned down at least 3 times. People would disappear. You never see their bodies again.
Before you go to bed tonight, say I am a revolutionary. Make that the last word. In case you don't wake up, then somebody might believe it and you might, end up in what they call a revolutionary happy hunting grounds.
Hampton, a rising star at just 21 years old, knew he was a target too. He'd been arrested in 1968 for allegedly robbing an ice cream truck and handing out $71 of ice cream. In 1969, he was sentenced to 2 to 5 years in prison. He appealed and was released on bond, but lost the appeal. He'd have to return to prison by December 6th. On December 4th, around 4 a.m., 14 Chicago police officers arrived outside Hampton's apartment on Chicago's west side.
Beta!
Inside, Hampton and Jerry and 7 other Panthers were asleep.
I was very pregnant.
Appreciate the follow, General Strike.
And the first thing I remember was Chairman Fred had fell asleep while talking on the phone. The next thing I remember was someone in our room
started shaking the chair.
Said, Chairman, wake up, the pigs are vamping. And I'm seeing Chairman Fred look up, and then he laid his head back down real slow.
Officers kicked open the door and shot Mark Clark, a visitor from another party chapter. They shot a sleeping 18-year-old named Brenda Harris. Then they shot in the direction of Hampton's bed.
The mattress is just going. You can feel the bullets going into it.
I had moved over on top of Chairman Fred because there was shooting into our mattress. The person that had come into the room kept shouting, stop shooting, we have a pregnant sister in here. Eventually, the shooting stopped.
And Jerry was forced into the kitchen when she heard another voice.
Someone said he's barely alive.
He'll barely make it. I assume they were talking about Chairman Fred.
Beta!
He's good and dead now.
As
Carpet Packs, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it.
They took me out and jammed a revolver to my stomach as I was handcuffed behind my back. I didn't look towards our bedroom because I didn't know what I would see or how I would respond.
The police fired nearly 100 shots. Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were dead. The 7 surviving Panthers were arrested. And police smiled as they removed Hampton's body from the scene.
I'm not sure if they said it already, but in case I missed it, if you hear the part about where he picks his head up and puts it back down, they had drugged him. Somebody in the group was a rat and had drugged him, and that's why he just stayed there, and they killed him. They killed him in his sleep.
The Chicago police and the state's attorney's office quickly shaped the narrative to call it a gunfight, a battle, and a shootout.
Officers involved in the raid testified that they were fired on from 4 different rooms in the apartment by shotgun.
And before I could get past the threshold, there were 3 shots fired from the rear bedroom.
They played back a story that you could not even fathom. They gave a fictional account of what happened, again vilifying the Black Panther Party.
I mean, they were firing at police.
Yes, sir. We saw the shots coming out of the 2 bedrooms.
This attack by the Black Panthers on the police clearly demonstrates the true character of the Black Panther Party.
But experts and lawyers hired by the Panthers, along with other journalists, inspected the crime scene. The Panthers even opened the apartment so that anyone could examine it. And a drastically different picture emerged. It was clear that the police had fired unprovoked. Of the nearly 100 shots fired, only one possible shot could have come from a Panther's gun, likely from Mark Clark at the front door. The bullet holes that the police said came from Black Panthers were nail heads. Later, it also emerged that the FBI had assisted Chicago police with the raid. Experts...
You don't say. You don't say. The FBI and the Coin Intel Pro?
that the FBI had assisted Chicago police with the raid. The FBI had an informant within the Black Panther Party,
William O'Neill,
who had become chief of security and Hampton's bodyguard. O'Neill had provided the FBI with a hand-drawn floor plan of the apartment, which the FBI then gave to Chicago police. And evidence strongly suggests that before the raid, O'Neill had drugged Hampton. In the years after Hampton's assassination, the police and the FBI continued to imprison dozens of party members across the country. The official Black Panther Party would continue to exist until 1982, but membership decreased dramatically, and it would never be the same.
And I hope that each one of you will be able to die in the international proletarian revolutionary struggle, or even be able to live in it. And I think that struggle is going to come. Why don't you live for the people? Why don't you struggle for the people? Why don't you die for the people?
Fred Hampton wanted revolution. Those in power wanted to destroy him and what he stood for. But they weren't totally successful.
Chairman Fred lives. You know what I'm saying? Through the military assault, through the destruction of the party as an organization itself, you know, by the state, the legacy of the party is still here.
Today, the work of Fred Hampton is alive through some of the same programs that marked him as a threat.
Many of the programs that the Panthers created are now staples of our society. We didn't have free breakfast in schools prior to the Black Panther Party's free breakfast program. Those free clinics, almost every major college campus got a free legal aid clinic. The ways in which sickle cell testing is now respected as a disease by the CDC and others. None of that stuff existed before the party. I think that's revolutionary.
The history of the Black Panther Party is going toe-to-toe with this government will never die. Never die.
So the reason I needed that to be shown, and I know, I know a lot of people are familiar with the was a Judas and the Black Messiah. If you haven't seen that movie, I definitely need to rewatch it. Watch that movie. For those who don't know, I was looking it up here. William O'Neill, the FBI informant, they sent him to California in 1973. He was given a whole new identity based off the federal witness program. That whole thing goes back to Chicago eventually, and a documentary called Eyes on the Prize. He was interviewed for a documentary called Eyes on the Prize in 1989. And then once the documentary was released that detailed his role as the informant, he took his life, which it was 20 years too late. Should have done it a bit earlier. You've been trying to follow the channel, any channel I wasn't already following really, and Twitch kept undoing the follow. That happened to me too. It only happened in Chrome. Well, I'm glad you're able to figure it out. Welcome. I appreciate it. Welcome. The main thing that I wanted to make sure that we got out of this is to never stop fighting for solidarity. Now, regarding poor white folks, unfortunately, white supremacy is a hell of a drug and has a lot of white folks in a headlock. However, please believe that those that you can be in solidarity with are out there. They are out there. And they're not all, just college kids wanting to LARP. There are people who have spent their lives in this sort of work. Did we watch Judas? I saw it a long time ago. I haven't seen it. No. Yeah, we watched a Vox video. So if you're gonna get involved, understand that without a combined coalition, none of this can happen. None of it can happen. Let's be real, right? I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but Malcolm X would have absolutely failed without the support of white allies and Jewish allies. We have to, right? We have to come together for this. We cannot be separating ourselves. We cannot be doing any of this bullshit. I'm minding my own business stuff, because we will fall. We will fail. We will absolutely fail. There's nothing we can ever get changed on our own. We can survive, right? We can survive just like our parents survived and our grandparents survived and our great, they will never get rid of us. But I don't know about you, but when it comes to revolution, and I understand that sometimes revolution can be a cringe term or a pretentious term, but honestly, I don't think it all has to be Che Guevara or even Fred Hampton. I think getting out there and fighting for your community and trying to highlight the cause, whether it be through anti-capitalist actions or anti-racist actions, I think those are revolutionary actions. And I really think that is extremely important if we're going to get anything done. I had a longer version of something I wanted to play, but I spent way too much time on the the Democracy Now! Video. So there's a shorter video that we're gonna watch, and it basically is going to highlight what I'm talking about, because there was a group, and they were mentioned in this video we just watched, called the Young Lords. The Young Lords were a Puerto Rican group that had more than Puerto Ricans, but it also included, obviously, going to have Afro-Latinos on there. So, and they were modeled after the Black Panthers and were in coalition with the Black Panthers. And they did similar work in their communities as well. I said this last week. I do not think that there's anything wrong with being focused on improving your community, right? I think there's focus, whether you're in a queer organization. Jesus. What's up, buddy? Hi. What's up? You need my attention? Do you want to go out? Sorry, he demanded. That was a demand. He couldn't say no. I had to let him out, Maneater. He's out there. I don't know if you're out there or not. What was I saying? Anyways, yeah. Solidarity. Let's watch this next video. It's do I want to hear something funny real fast? Yeah, sure. I'm going to sit here and wait for the delay. All right, you let me know.
Today I want to talk about a group that often gets overlooked in American history, a group that's also causing some controversy, the Young Lords. The Young Lords Party was founded in Chicago in 1968 to fight racism.
My client roasted me today, saying you look like Dora. Now the mic's That's better than the king from Shrek. What's his name?
Social injustice, and highlight the struggles of colonialism, showing the oppression of members of the African diaspora from Puerto Rico to New York City.
Farquaad, yeah.
Playing no games. In 1969, they took over the first Spanish Methodist church in East Harlem for 11 days, calling for it to be used as a community center to provide vital services like breakfast for children, healthcare, and drug rehabilitation programs.
It may sound ridiculous, but this all links up to what's happening from Vietnam to Puerto Rico to Watts. Don't ever forget that. That without you here, see, our children have had it. What you do here today, and what you do after you leave this church, no matter what happens, whether we get busted, or whether we have to walk out, either way, it's still a victory.
Well, hundreds of police officers raided the church, arresting 105 Young Lords protesters for that act of defiance. And although the group originated in Puerto Rican communities, it's important to note that an estimated 25% of Young Lords members were African American. People like Denise Oliver Velez, who was also a member of the Black Panther Party.
I'm just gonna correct her. If you see, this is the part that kind of like I like to dispel. You can be fully Black and fully Puerto Rican. Chances are, with a name like Velez, she's Puerto Rican. She wasn't like, oh wow, and they had African. Yeah, sure, she was Black, 100% Black. Like black. They were Black, right? And so she was a member of the Black Panther Party and a member of the Young Lords. I just don't think people really kind of get that, can't really get that through their head. The fact that there are the African diaspora is in Latin America. One thing I always say a lot, and if you follow me, you'll probably hear me say it over and over again, because I like to remind people. And this, by the way, is a part of the rhetoric I use to remind people that separating and fighting against each other just doesn't make any fucking sense. But what did we have? How many enslaved people came to North America? How many? What was it, like 400,000, 100,000? Yeah, 470,000, right, to North America. 470,000 enslaved people to North America. Over 4 million to Latin America. If we're talking about the African diaspora and who's Black, 470 went to North America. Over 4 million went to Latin America. And so there are absolutely fully Black Latin Americans out there. And then all mixed in between, right? Just like we have mixed race Black folks here, right? Where sometimes they're light skinned because they're light skinned, sometimes they're light skinned because they're part this or part that, right? They're Black Japanese folks, because especially because of the military and stuff like that, they're Japanese, but they're Black.
Lords and the Black Panthers were part of what we call a rainbow coalition. This is a group of progressive people of all races and ethnicities who are united over common struggles that oppress the working class, even as they highlight their own group's unique experiences. But a group of conservative Latino leaders is fighting to keep the Young Lord story out of an exhibit in the new National Museum of the American Latino. While some historians want to show the activism and struggle of Latino communities, these opponents now want the museum defunded. Which begs the question, why are these people so afraid of the truth? Why whitewash the fact that civil disobedience actually brought groups of people of color, like African Americans and Afro-Latinos, together? Could it be that this group of conservative Latinos are distancing themselves as part of an effort to assimilate, to be more acceptable in America. Maybe someone should explain that the real spirit of American democracy is fighting for equality. And the more you know your history, even the uncomfortable parts, the more you won't turn away from it. And that's the point. That's all for this week, Rio family. Thank you so much.
I mean, she's not lying. She's not lying at all, because it is that proximate whiteness that they fight for. And too black, too Latino, too strong. That's what's up. That's what's up. I like that. She's not wrong at all. She's not wrong at all. I'll tell you what we're going to talk about next week. And it highlights, am I the only person? It highlights the how poor the education system is in the US. Am I the only person that didn't know the Alamo was about slavery? At least at its core, at least in part. I had no fucking clue that the Texas Revolution and the Alamo that was a battle in the Texas Revolution was centered around damn near the same exact thing that the Civil War was centered around. One part saying that they didn't want slaves to be legal anymore. I had no fucking idea. No clue. I thought it was just literally the way it was taught was Mexico wanted to control Texas. The Texans didn't want to be controlled by Mexico and fought for independence and joined the Union. End of story. Do you know what they wanted independence from? Do you know why they wanted independence from Mexico, who owned it? Because Mexico had outlawed, because the Mexican president was black, right? An Afro-Latino Mexican president, and slavery had already been abolished. And Texas was like, nah, I want slaves, because they were the white migrants that came over from the colonies. And they said, and they fought a war over it so that they can keep slavery. You can be forgiven. You were a Republican at one point in time. True. Didn't know that, but doesn't surprise me at all. They didn't teach that one to me either. No worries, the true hero. No worries. No worries at all. We got many more streams to go. I ain't going anywhere. This is the type of shit. This is why, by the way, why critical race theory, DEI, and shit like that. This is why they're doing away with it. Like, I guarantee if I go in my neighborhood and go ask, I bet you fucking a single-digit percentage knew about that. Fucking wild. Every American should celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Why? Because if it wasn't for the Mexicans defeating the French, they would have backed the Confederate Army, and this would be different. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I can't even imagine. Like, slavery was short-lived, you know, like it's a way to minimize slavery in whenever like Southern Confederate fans, you know, talk about it, but they aren't wrong. Slavery was falling out of fashion, and there would have been international pressure eventually. Like, what would this country have been like if the Confederate States of America had won? That's wild. Remember the Alamo, make America great again. 100%. Oh, single-digit people. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. There's a lot of black folks in my neighborhood though, so I wonder. I'm gonna go on a limb that their aunties and moms and grandmas taught them that shit. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyways, usually around this time we go into brain rot to give ourselves a palate cleanser. I like to watch Pop the Balloon, but I spend way too much time on the first part, and I've been pretty good about that lately, but I was not this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here. I really appreciate you all being here. If you guys are interested in joining the Discord, it's a bunch of nerds in there, right? So there's talk for nerd stuff. There's also a section for the political community, for political talk rather, and I definitely would like to see more people join and more people be active in there. There's also a link in there to the Blurred Koa. So if you're looking for other blurreds, there's definitely an awesome community over there as well. And so basically, hey, Dr. Midnight, what's going on? That's all right. That's all right. You're not late. We were early. My bad. But yeah, get over there and interact and if I don't see you on Thursday, I hope I see you on Friday. But the next time I'll be live will be on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern over on the channel Blurred Without Fear for Nerds of Culture. And then Left Face right back here on YouTube and Twitch for the Fallout Report, to where we go over some headlines. And I'll definitely make sure we get to Brain Rot after that. So ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, that is the show. I love you all. Make sure that you get out there.
You can't see it. You can't see it.
Oh, Dr. Midnight with that Prime sub
Love seeing you
too.
streaming. IWI try and catch you Thursday also.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I definitely like the Prime Jeff Bezos bucks. By the way, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you get one free subscription. And if you haven't given it to another streamer, consider giving it to your boy and support the Left Face crew. But that said, make sure you get out there. Make sure that you are in solidarity. Fight the bigotry and help build that Rainbow Coalition again. And when you're out there taking care of other people and taking care of your community, don't forget to take care of yourself. Until next time, I love you all. I'm Robo, and I'm out.